Well, it's time now for our business update. Brian Quinn joins me on sets, and we're starting with a story from Mexico. It looks like drivers there will soon have a new option for filling up their tanks.
Yeah, that's right. For decades, Mexico's oil industry has been dominated by a state-run monopoly. But liberalization policies put in place several years ago have opened the market to foreign investors. One of the first companies to make inroads in the country, British Petroleum. The Mexican government is hoping that the new arrival will help to turn around the country's flagging performance in oil markets. Anka Ula has the story.
This petrol station will open the door to a new era in Mexican oil production. For the first time in nearly 8 decades, international oil companies are investing in Mexico. Britain's BP opened its first station just north of Mexico City last week, with expansion plans envisaging scores of others across the country.
BP's investment plan is to be in strategic areas for the petroleum sector. We'll set the prices to ensure there's top quality in terms of service to our clients. The planned investment will amount to a growth plan. There'll be 1,500 service stations, so that's a solid presence.
Until recently, the Mexican oil industry was run by state-owned monopoly Pemex, and gas prices fixed by the government. President Enrique Peña Nieto ended that monopoly in 2013 as part of broader reforms intended to revitalize the nation's sluggish energy sector. Mexico's vast oil and natural gas reserves will be open to foreign investors and competitors in mid-July, starting with 14 oil explorations in the Gulf of Mexico, which will be put up for auction. But environmentalists fear that more oil exploration could lead to increased greenhouse gas emissions and environmental disasters like the 2010 Deepwater Horizon oil spill. Mexico expects $62.5 billion of new foreign investment in the energy sector over the next 3 years.
And tell us, how are the markets looking this morning?
Well, European shares opening up across the board despite a report this morning that French industrial production dropped in January. Paris's CAC 40 up around 0.2%. The FTSE 100 up 0.25%, with the DAX up almost 0.3. Now, the big news on the Asian markets today is the impeachment of South Korean President Park Geun-hye. Despite the political uncertainty there, South Korean stocks actually responding fairly well. The Kospi is up around 0.3%. The Nikkei up nearly 1.5%. Shanghai Composite down around 0.1%, and the Hang Seng up over 0.3. Let's take a look at some more of today's business headlines. Volkswagen AG is set to plead guilty Friday to 3 felonies in the U.S. as part of its Dieselgate emissions cheating scandal. The company will admit to fraud, obstruction of justice, and entry of goods by false statement. Volkswagen will pay $4.3 billion in fines. In all, the company is spending around $25 billion in the U.S. to address the scandal. Nintendo is hoping its fortunes have switched. The video game maker predicts it will ship 8 million units of its new Switch hybrid gaming console, indicating that it may have scored a big hit. Nintendo America's president said the first 2-day sales of the Switch exceeded those of any system in Nintendo history. Nintendo's stock is up 8% since the console's global launch last Friday. And Airbnb has raised $1 billion in investment funding. The financing round values the home rental company at $31 billion. That comes on news that the company finally turned a profit during the second half of 2016. Airbnb says they have no plans for a public stock offering.
And last up for business, will we soon finally be living in a world with flying cars?
Well, it's not time to put the pilot's endorsement on your driver's license just yet, but among the innovations on display at the Geneva Motor Show this week, a futuristic design for a flying car from Airbus. It looks like a small 2-passenger car, but the cabin can detach from the wheels and take to the skies on 4 electric rotors. The concept is called Pop-Up. It's produced by Airbus and Ital Design. The idea is to help you avoid traffic jams in crowded cities. Of course, it will be a while before the design ever sees production, but Airbus hopes it will one day be the basis of a ride-hailing system like Uber.
Thanks very much for that, Brian. And now it's time